This episode of FineScale Modeler's new product rundown features Tamiya's Panzer 38T, IBG's PZL.11, Flagship's CSS Virginia II, the Aviation Historian magazine, and Takom's Jeep.
New product rundown brought to you by Hobby Zone USA, your source for hobby storage solutions, hard-to-find hobby tools, and aftermarket modeling needs.
Welcome to FineScale Modeler's new product rundown, the video show exploring the latest kits and accessories. I'm back to being Aaron Skinner.
And I'm happily Elizabeth Nash. Let's get started with Tamiya's 1/35th scale Panzer 38T Ausf E.
This up-armored version of the Czechoslovakian design light tank was produced between November 1940 and October 1941.
Almost all of them were deployed to the Eastern Front during Operation Barbarossa.
The hull is divided into a belly plate, sides with molded plate and rivet details, rear, front and glasses plates, top with turret opening and engine deck, intake, and separate hatches.
Front armor with driver's viewport and optional bow machine gun, along with thin fenders, stowage boxes, jerry cans, and exhaust finish the hull.
The suspension comprises spring units, road wheel arms that connect to well-done road wheels with detailed rear faces, return rollers, drive sprockets, and idlers. Lincoln-length tracks detailed front and back finish the running gear, and the top run has sag molded in.
The body of the turret comes with separate sides, bottom, top, rear, and front. The commander's cupola is broken into plates with vision blocks in between and opposable hatch.
The one-piece main gun is slide molded with an open muzzle. It slips through the mantlet next to a machine gun and posable opening for the sight, which is molded with part of the breech.
A few stowage items and a well-molded commander sitting in the open hatch, as well as a photo-etched metal engine screen finish the parts.
A small decal sheet provides markings for 2 overall gray tanks on the Eastern Front.
As always with Tamiya, this looks like a well-engineered kit that should make for a trouble-free build.
Next, here's the latest of IBG's 1/72nd scale Polish World War II aircraft, the PZL-11A fighter.
More than 300 PZL-11 gull-wing planes were built starting in 1934, and they formed the backbone of the Polish Air Force's fighter force when the Germans invaded in 1939.
Outclassed by more modern Luftwaffe fighters, most were destroyed early on, with one being the first aircraft shot down in World War II on September 1, 1939.
20 minutes later, another would claim the first Allied aerial victory when it shot down a Ju-87.
The small model's fuselage halves feature extremely fine recessed panel lines and vents.
The one-piece upper wing establishes the angles for the gull wing. It has recessed panel lines, whereas the lower halves feature raised ribs. The tiny vertical and horizontal stabilizers show fine surface detail too. All of the control surfaces, rudder, elevators, and ailerons are separate and posable.
Cockpit detail includes floor and forward frame, seat and control stick, upper frame, instrument panel, headrest, and a pair of machine guns firing through troughs in the fuselage sides.
Up front, inside a one-piece cowl, is a nice replica of the engine with a bank of cylinders, a one-part forward exhaust collector, streamlined crankcase cover, and propeller.
The struts for the wings and landing gear are appreciably thin.
Clear parts include several variations on the PZL windscreen, although only one is called for here, as well as side windows.
A fret of thin photo-etched brass provides the seat harness, gun sights, pedals, cockpit controls, engine details, handles, and more. It also has options for the windscreen frames that can be fitted with thin acetate panes.
TechMod printed decals and color diagrams supply markings for 3 Polish Air Force PZL-11As, all in khaki over blue-gray.
This is a nice-looking kit of this historic fighter, and along with the company's other Polish aircraft will make a nice collection.
Our next kit comes from Flagship, a 1/192nd scale CSS Virginia II.
Named in honor of the first CSS Virginia that took on the USS Monitor, this Confederate ironclad ram was launched in June 1863.
It took part in several engagements before being destroyed in the spring of 1865 to avoid being captured by advancing Union forces.
The solid resin hull comes in 2 sections for below and above the waterline. The castings are relatively clean with nice plank and metal rail details.
Other resin parts include the davits, galley stack, and screw, rudder and gun port covers, smokestack, lifeboats, anchors, and ram, cannons, and bits and chocks.
A photo-etched brass fret supplies stairs, davit cables, railing stanchions, lifeboat details, grates, stays for the stack, and an alternative to the resin prop.
Other bits in the box include styrene rod and tube, brass rod, and chain for the anchors.
A small decal sheet provides variations of flags and pennants with instructions to apply them to aluminum foil for realistic drape.
Flagship kits require some modeling skills, but if you're looking for a unique naval subject, they are hard to beat. Virginia II is no exception.
We wanted to introduce you to the Aviation Historian.
Published in the United Kingdom, this quarterly publication feels more like a book than a magazine, with heavy covers and a perfect bound spine.
Inside is 130 pages of aviation history goodness covering all aspects of the subject.
And while some of the stories have a distinctly British flavor, such as issue 25's article on how the Phantom ended up in Royal Air Force and Navy service, there's plenty of American subjects here too, including TWA Skyliners and the development of the C-54.
The articles cover the globe with stories about Swiss Mirages, Argentine Corsairs, and Curtiss Hawks in Peru, among many others.
The stories are accompanied with photos and illustrations throughout.
So, how can you get hold of the Aviation Historian?
Glad you asked. We are proud to bring you this quality publication, and you can purchase it directly from the Kalmbach Hobby Store. Look for them under the Books tab.
We currently have copies of issues 24 through 29 available for $19.99 each. So stop by and pick one or all of them up today. If you like aviation, you won't be disappointed.
Finally, let's take a look at Takom's 1/35th scale quarter-ton truck, otherwise known as a Jeep.
This kit of the U.S. Army Workhorse includes a quarter-ton trailer and a figure.
The body of the vehicle is molded as a single part from the firewall rear, including floor and thin sides, as well as details underneath.
The one-piece frame should make aligning the wheels and suspension a snap.
The rest of the body includes the rear, front fenders, and grille, and hood.
The last hides a nicely detailed engine with separate exhaust manifold, head and intake, pumps, fan and transmission, transfer case for the four-wheel drive system, battery, exhaust, and radiator.
The rest of the drivetrain and suspension components include drive shafts, front and rear axles with differentials, leaf springs, shock absorbers, and plastic wheels with nice tread and hub detail, separate interfaces, and brakes.
Inside, there are seats for the driver and front seat passenger, as well as the rear, fuel tanks, steering wheel, dashboard with molded controls and bezels, stowage boxes, shifters, and pedals.
A pintle mount for a beautifully molded 50 caliber machine gun is also provided.
Other features include jerry cans, ammo boxes, tools, stowed cover supports, and a windshield frame with optional molded or PE wipers. Clear headlights are also included.
Other PE parts provide tie-downs, windshield brackets, and more.
A well-sculpted driver is included.
The quarter-ton trailer has a bed, sides, front, back, and fenders with springs, axle, wheels, stand, brackets, and hitch. Decals and color diagrams give markings for 4 vehicles, including one in Marine Corps service in Korea.
This is a well-detailed kit of one of the most famous vehicles of all time. The trailer and the figure make it even better.
Look for reviews of it, the Panzer 38T, and PZL.11 in upcoming issues of FineScale Modeler magazine.
And you can find more new products in our December issue on sale now.
Thanks for visiting FineScale.com. I'm Elizabeth Nash.
Nope. Someone reminded me of the redub for Snakes on a Plane this morning. I'm tired of these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.